Okay, today we are going to be reassembling a Colt King Cobra. It's a 38 special with an 8-inch barrel. Pretty cool gun. The first step is to take the this piece here. This is the cylinder lock, and it goes right there. Okay, now there's a little spring and it has a split side. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a split side there. That split side goes to the front and it goes into this little hole right here in the corner of the inside of the frame. You can press it down. It's the piece that's going to hold that cylinder lock. And that's working. Okay, the next piece to go in is the spring, and the short piece that's sticking out is going to be on the top and facing the grip of the pistol, and it goes on this post right here. Okay, now it's going to be a little difficult to get in. This piece has got to go on top of this little shelf right here, and it's under quite a bit of tension. Okay, that can be a little bit of a chore, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to get this piece right here to sit on top of the shelf. Now the trigger, this part here is going to shift up around this pin on the trigger. The trigger has this little pin that sometimes falls out, and it goes through a hole right up here. So the right side of the trigger, so if you have your finger on the trigger, the right side has a little indentation on that pin. This hole in the trigger has to fit on that post. So I get it started. So it needs to be on top of it, so it's providing the spring for that trigger. Okay, after the trigger, the next part that's going to go on is the cylinder post. I'll put a little bit of oil on it, a good gun oil, so that it will slide in and out better. It was wanting to catch. So, the next thing to go on will be the hammer. Now the trigger needs to pull back because right here there is an indentation. That indentation needs to go under this piece of the hammer. Notice the hammer fit on that post. So there's the post. I'm going to set it down. Okay. Now the reason why I put in that cylinder post first is there's not a whole lot of room to get in there and do it after you put the hammer in. It's just easier. The next piece that goes on is the hand and the safety. The hand goes on the top post. There's two posts right here. One here and one here. The cylinder hand goes on the top one. And the safety with this elbow looking thing goes on the bottom one and fits into this slot between the hammer and the cylinder post. Okay, I put this in the wrong place. It needs to be on top of this pin right here. It needs to be on top of that one. I had it below. Get everything back in the right place. Or when I pulled the hammer back, it might have popped up. So you need to make sure everything's in the right place before you close this thing up. The only thing truly holding these pieces in place is the faceplate. So if you pick it up to look at it, or if you start trying to move the hammer and trigger, they're going to pop out like that just happened. Okay, now this hand is on top of the pin, the spring is behind the hand, and the safety is in the right place. Okay, before we put the faceplate on top of the pistol, we actually need to assemble the faceplate. This flat spring is going to slide up here. Then there's some undercut edges that cylinder release slides into. Okay. So that spring works the cylinder release. Now, we need to put the faceplate on. Now the cylinder release, there's a hole on the back of the faceplate, and the cylinder release has a slot. These need to line up. Talk about this hole and slot right here. These need to line up so that this pin for the cylinder post can fit into it. So you need to hold that back so it matches. Then you hit to slide the top of the plate in. get everything lined up. And then you need to close the faceplate. There are two screws. There is a short, stubby one and a long one. The long one's going to go in the back. And when you put it down, it stays proud. It matches one on the other side. Okay? That's part of the way the grips work. The short one goes into this front hole. And the edge of it is actually going to hold down an edge on the front of the faceplate, which holds the faceplate down. So now the faceplate is assembled. If you have this bright stainless steel, make sure your screwdriver doesn't slip. Scratch the pistol. Okay, the only thing we have left is the cylinder pieces. And in this little piece of tape, I have 3 pieces that we'll need. There is a screw that is hollow, a spring that fits in that, and then a piece that's hollow fits over the spring and into the screw. And I had it in tape so I wouldn't lose those. The arm that fits into the crane is it has a screwed end and a star end. If you hold that star in, you can unscrew it, pull it apart. You need to pull that spring off that star if it's stuck, and it's going to go inside here. Now there's a little black piece that's in there. Sometimes it'll come out, sometimes it won't. There it is right there. It has a big side and a small side. The small side sticks into the cylinder. That is the shelf that the spring rides on. If that falls out, put the big side in first. Then put the spring in. Then slide the cylinder on. It'll only go one way. Okay, now take the star piece, and on this pistol it's keyed. You see it's got a flat spot with grooves, and the hole has a flat spot right there. So you need to put that keyed part so that the star lines up in the proper place. Okay, and then you push it in. Now if you hold that star up against the cylinder, you should be able to get this screw in. Okay, that is the cylinder. It is in. Okay, now back to these 3 pieces. Once you put the cylinder, once you slide the cylinder in and close the pistol, you're going to flip it over, and there's one more screw hole. These need to be put in as a set into that screw hole. What that screw does is it holds that arm that has the cylinder in the pistol. Tighten it up, and pistol's almost done. Last thing to put on is the grips. So, on the left side, there's no screw. Back on this right side, there's one screw that holds this together. But notice these holes. This is where the raised screws work. They hold that in place. Tighten the screw. And that pistol is now assembled. Hope that helps. If you need any assistance, make a comment. If you need any engraving, please see beathardengraving.com. Thank you very much.